Alumni Podcast with Tek Prem.
It's the Vet Alumni Podcast. I'm Tek, he's Prem, and the Eagles 2025 schedule is out.
You know, one thing that's interesting is we don't have back-to-back home games.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Let me start
It's
this.
a tough schedule. It's a very tough schedule.
Let me start this show off by giving you the truth here in how I feel.
Tell them how you feel.
This is a screw job. What the
is.
NFL did to the Eagles
I know.
is a screw job.
It really is.
The Chiefs had an relatively easy schedule last year after coming off of a Super Bowl victory.
Yo.
And the Eagles got screwed. But this is I'm going to say
They're still 6-2 after the first 8, but we'll get to that.
Right. I actually agree. We'll go into a deep dive game week by week. We might have different games.
I see 6-2 in the first half and 6-3 after the bye. That's what I see.
We'll get into it week by week.
Oh, we will.
We might have I think we actually. Wow.
We're going to be pretty close.
I think we actually come out with the same exact amount of wins.
Well, last year
we'll
we nailed
different
it.
games.
We nailed it. We said 12 with a 13 ceiling.
Yes,
and it was actually 14.
I have a similar feeling this year, but I'm going to say this. And this is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to keep bringing this up. I don't want to piss and moan or be bitching about this.
Nah, we're Super Bowl
I don't
champs.
want to whine.
We have one of the best rosters in NFL history lately.
Right. So I'm just gonna say this. Okay, the NFL, along with the commissioner trying to ban, he's trying to drum up the votes to ban the tush push.
It's ridiculous.
I'm going to say this: the NFL is actively working against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Isn't it odd?
They're working for the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're working actively against the Philadelphia Eagles in every
Maybe it's
facet.
better that way.
Well, maybe
it's better that way. Maybe it's going to make the repeat so much sweeter.
You're right.
Because playoff Jalen, it don't matter what the regular season schedule looks like. Because playoff Jalen,
bright lights,
has got more cojones than all these other clowns, really, except for Mahomes. And, I mean, they're equal. They're equal right now. Mahomes and Hurts in the postseason.
Yeah.
In terms of ability, your confidence that they get it done. I would say our fan base has as much confidence in Jalen as Kansas City has in Mahomes that they're going to get it done in January.
You're right about that.
More than fans have in Lamar and Joe in their respective cities, and especially the Bills fans who have been beaten down for 40 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Down.
Yeah. I hate this schedule. And it's just like what you said, no back-to-back home games, and that plays a factor. I mean, it's constant movement, and they happen to be a pretty good road team, but this with a schedule like this, it's going to catch up to you at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about it. This isn't just a gauntlet. This is the first time in NFL history that a team, after winning the Super Bowl, then has to, in the next season, play 10-plus playoff games, playoff teams.
Yeah.
Like, I've never...
It's not going to be an
This
easy
is ridiculous.
stretch.
This is a ridiculous schedule
it really is.
that I'm looking
One
at.
thing I do like is that they get 10 days to prepare for Andy after the Week 1 game. I like that built-in buffer. A few extra couple days to get ready for the rematch.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to play a role. And they also get that on the other Thursday night game in October after they play the Giants. They go in from Giants to who? Giants are October 9th, I think, right? And
and then they travel to Minnesota 10 days later.
So that's a tough game in Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be a quality football team.
Absolutely.
So, it's nice to get those built-in mini buys twice. Plus, you get a bye conveniently right at the midpoint of the season, which I love that. I mean, I love the back-end bye, too, because you're a little fresher towards the end of the season going into your stretch run.
Yeah.
But a mid-season bye, smack in the middle, is pretty ideal. It's like ideal as it gets for a team that is good on the road, like you said, and already seasoned. Those are some positives.
Yes. So, all right, let's just get into it. Week 1, they come out. This is a rarity. To start out Thursday night at home, a true home game at the Link. We haven't seen one since like Carson Wentz was quarterback.
Yeah.
A Week 1 in Philadelphia. We always start off on the road.
I know.
And
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tampa.
Detroit. We're at
Right.
we're at home this year.
Well, that's what winning the ring gets you.
But we're against Dallas and
10-point victory.
I got this as a win.
30-20.
I hate this game.
Me too.
Because it's like and the NFL feels the opposite of the way I feel. I feel like that's a tough game because Dak is Joe Montana against us. His best Dak at his best is against the Eagles.
Well, yeah, but Jalen's 10-2 against the division at the Link.
Yeah, but I look at this game and I'm like, I need a month of football before I'm ready for that game.
I completely agree. The only
and the NFL disagrees. The NFL says, no. We've abandoned this rivalry. We want to reinvigorate this rivalry. So we need to have it week 1 so both teams come in healthy. And I'm just like,
well, the only silver lining is that they get to watch us raise our banner, I love that.
I know.
I can't wait for the camera to pan to Jerry's face as the banner goes up and pan to Dakota Fanning Prescott's face.
Yeah, I know.
Forever Dakota Fanning Prescott.
Forever, yeah.
So, yes, is Dak a above average quarterback? Yes. Is he elite? Not anymore, in my opinion.
But
he was elite.
But he is. He seems to be elite against the Eagles. He's like he shows up. He has his best games as a pro.
He does
against the Eagles.
That's because they don't make it to the playoffs, and if they do make it to the playoffs, they don't get far. I don't know. I agree with you. I'd rather see the Cowboys game at least in October. Let's get a month of football first with some non-division games. Maybe give us if they were smart, it would have been Detroit coming here in week 1 for an NFC Championship game that really everybody wanted to see last year.
Yeah.
To give the fans
I thought it should have been Detroit or the Rams week 1.
And then you'd flop the Detroit game and the Cowboy game.
Yeah.
And then I would still, and even with Kansas City, I would have put that in a November primetime game.
Me too.
When both teams
I hate week 2. I hate it.
It's so stupid.
I hate it.
It's so stupid.
But, all right, so I also agree with you that week 1, Dallas Cowboys, that's a win.
It's a 30-20 game, in my opinion.
That's a win. The only thing I worry about is I actually think this year defensively for the Eagles, it's going to be similar to last year in the beginning, where it takes like a month. It's like for them to really start to dominate.
I don't know, man. I feel like they turned the page. I feel like this team,
I hear you.
I feel like what you saw in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game, that is the ceiling, essentially. The movable ceiling, because it could still go up. But that's I feel like their standard of performance is going to be like that. And this team is in a serious dynasty window. I really believe that Jalen is in a dynasty window. So, with that said, week 2, I don't think the Chiefs got necessarily better enough to tip the scale back to where I think that Jalen can lose that game.
So you have them winning in Kansas City week 2.
They won in Kansas City after the Super Bowl loss.
I get it. I actually have this as a loss. I got this as a revenge game, and this has nothing to do with how good the Eagles are, how good the Chiefs are.
I don't know, man. I see our defense being pretty much as good as it was. I know that people are going to say, what about your depth on the D-line? I don't know. I think that they're going to do enough up front in camp to get these guys ready.
I think they'll be ready. I think you'll see a different Mahomes for some reason.
It's hard for me to put this as a loss because of how I saw them just dominate this
club.
No,
listen.
And the clubs are largely the same.
I agree with you 100%
But different setting. I mean, Arrowhead. All the fans are going to be they're going to be foaming at the mouth.
It's in Arrowhead, and I believe Mahomes is going to have a big mountainous chip on his shoulder.
I don't think Jalen cares, though.
No, I know he does, and he shows up.
Go in there. They're going to go in there, and I think Saquon actually has a good game this time around.
He might.
I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. I'm gonna when I feel a 50-50 game on the schedule at this point because they're champs, I'm gonna lean Birds.
Okay, so you're going 2-0. I'm going 1-1 here. I'm tempted to go 1-2 here at the Rams week 3, but I won't. I'm gonna go. They beat the Rams at home.
Yeah, I think they start 3-0. I think they beat the Rams at home too. Jared Verse is gonna be talking, and he's a great player, great young player. But I don't think it's gonna be enough. Stafford 1 year older.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see it. The snow really benefited the Rams more than it benefited the Rams.
Exactly. The Rams fans are like, yep, that was a snow game. I saw it on NFL Network. That was a snow game. Rams taking this one. It's
look at the first quarter. The first quarter is an indication of what that game would be if it was not snowing at all.
Exactly.
So I think 3-0.
I'm going 2-1 here, and then here's a game that I can't stand. They should pummel the Bucs, but I have them losing this game in Tampa Bay. And it's just because I think it's a tough place to play against a coach that has their number. Now, we beat them last year, but I got them losing this game in Tampa Bay. Now, we're going to get to another game where it could be.
They beat us last year.
Did they beat us
Tampa?
last year?
That was the loss that dropped us to 2-2 right before the bye.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got us losing in Tampa, right? But we'll get to another game before the bye week that I think it could be either or. But right now, let's just say this is a loss for me. I got them 2-2 with almost the sky falling on Philly sports radio.
I could see that. I could see that being a loss. I mean, as much as I don't, it's a 1:00 game. September's gonna be real hot in Tampa.
Right.
If they're coming in 3-0 off of a tough game against the Rams, tough game against the Chiefs, I could see them dropping that game too. But then coming home and beating the Broncos, beating the Giants in the Meadowlands.
Yep, I have them beating the Broncos.
I would have them at 5-1
beating the
at that
Giants.
point.
Right. So now let's get to Week 7, Minnesota. That's the game where it's either going to be Tampa or Minnesota that they lose.
Yeah, I could even.
I don't know which one. It's one of those. They're losing one of those games.
I could pencil that in as a loss because I do just have either way it shakes out. It's hard for me to do this because I just think they go into the bye 6-2, whether it's the two.
Now I think. By the way, I agree. I think they're 6-2, but I think that second loss is either the Bucs or the Vikings in Tampa or in Minnesota. That's the way I feel here. I can't give you a definitive answer why. I think Minnesota's kind of a fraud. I don't know who their quarterback is, JJ McCarthy. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to have enough juice to really beat the Birds.
No, I don't either, and I don't think Tampa does either. But
it's football.
It's football.
These things,
it's funny. It's on the road, and I don't feel good about either one of these games. But I'm not saying they'll lose both. They'll win one of those two games.
I'll do this differently because I just feel like 6-2. I think that the two losses are going to be two from these four possible games: Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Vikings.
I completely agree with you.
2-2 in those four,
yes,
and then win the other ones.
Yes, I completely agree with you. There's no question I agree with you about this.
But then coming out to bye, it's nice that you get 2 weeks to prepare for the game at Lambeau, which is a primetime game.
I have them winning this game.
I have them winning this game too. Off a bye. The Packers are going to have that revenge thing in their mind. I get it. But I feel like Jalen really is just going to rise to the occasion in a lot of these games. I think that's going to be the true difference in these coin flip games. This is a Super Bowl champion now, a guy that has still proven it all, but still is doubted like he hasn't proven anything, which is just, it's so remarkable.
I know
how he's treated.
That's good.
That's what I mean.
That's good.
It's good
Yeah.
because he's just going to want to repeat to just shove it down their throats more.
I think, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but I am. I think there's a strong possibility, and we can go back to this comment during the year or towards the second half of the year. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have the best year of his career this season.
I think so too.
That's what I think.
I mean, the offense is fully intact. You have a new right guard, but he was a starting guard for us last year sometimes.
Right. I don't think it's going to be all about Saquon.
No, he's one more year mature in the system.
Yeah.
And Patullo has been with him.
Yeah.
The whole time.
So he's actually got a little bit of familiarity going in.
I don't think much changes. Now, the only question I have related to that is in those key high-pressure moments in the fourth quarter, third quarter, when it might be a one-score game, when they've traditionally pulled away from teams.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore's play calling in those moments
was better than it was throughout the rest of the game. I would be
versus Patullo in those moments.
Yeah, I'd be throwing food at the TV for 3 quarters over some of those Kellen Moore play calls, but towards the end of the game. But I
think Jalen's going to actually take more control this year of what played out.
I wasn't necessarily giving Kellen Moore all the credit. It feels like Sirianni in the late games, but I hear you.
But Jalen's
going to
always have 2 plays, and him and Saquon always have that Saquon run right if they want to switch to it.
Yes.
Or Saquon run left, always.
Love it.
When you have that in your back pocket, and you can just pull that out, even if it's like, honestly, 3rd and 4, and Jalen sees, oh, this is one-on-one, and Saquon just got to beat one guy.
Right.
Let me get those 5 yards because they're going to be thinking pass. They're going to get a lot of first downs this year that way.
And I actually think they thought ahead. They knew the tush push was getting banned, so that's why Van Sumeren and Ty Robinson, because Ty Robinson is also going to be that refrigerator Perry fullback.
Yeah, he's a beast, man.
He was used in college as a refrigerator Perry type guy.
I like it.
In a 1 yard
makes sense
goal line situation. They might use him like that.
Half the time, people getting all crazy about this tush push. More than half the time, Jalen doesn't even need the help.
I know, but I like
75%. He doesn't even need the push.
I like the fact that for the Eagles, for everybody else it's 1st and 10, but for the Eagles it's 1st and 9. I always love that.
Man.
It still is. Yeah,
you got Saquon Barkley back there. I haven't ran the numbers and looked at every single tush push play like some of these guys have. They say line them up back to back and watch them all, I'm willing to bet that on 80% of those, he gets it because he squats so much.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
So now we approach week 11, and it's very similar to what we said about in the first half. This Lions game at home, I have it as a win, but it could be a loss.
I think this is a game that maybe the Lions do get a victory, but it bodes well for the Birds matching up with them again in the NFC title game, which I think is going to happen.
Right.
So I would have this as a loss, and I have them splitting with Washington because it feels like we always split with Washington.
I got us splitting with Washington, but I do have this Detroit game as a win.
Interesting.
And
okay,
and I have
it's one of my 2 losses in the second half.
I have Dallas in Dallas as a loss.
I have this as a loss, and then I have the Bills game in Buffalo as a loss.
Yes, I have my 3 losses in the second half,
and one of the Commanders games.
Yes,
that's how I get 6-3.
My 3 losses in the second half are Dallas, Washington in Washington, and Buffalo in Buffalo.
The tricky part is that's back-to-back games.
Yeah, they're going to lose
that's
2 in a
really
row.
Tricky.
And I'm telling you, sky might be falling there.
But that's maybe a good thing, though.
They'll beat the Commanders in what could end up being, which I don't
championship
like,
game.
or a meaningless game. And I don't like that.
I'd rather it be meaningless.
Yeah, well, I know.
I'd rather it be a bye.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, if you're getting a bye in the first round of the playoffs, I don't know if sitting for 2 weeks is good.
I don't think so either.
That doesn't matter for these guys, though. You're talking about Jalen, Saquon, AJ, Devontae. Like, these guys, I mean, hey, if your body has an extra week to heal, you know what they are in the playoffs. I think that mission mentality will kick in, and that takes it to a level that a lot of these teams just don't have that gear outside of Kansas City right now, man. It's right now, the football mountaintop is the Eagles and the Chiefs, and then a couple teams like looking at their feet from the bottom of the top of the mountain, basically.
Right.
Is really how you chase down.
So it's just like the first half. I got a possible 4 games out of those 3 losses. It could be Detroit. It could be Dallas in Dallas, Washington in Washington, Buffalo in Buffalo. But here's the thing, right?
Either of the Commanders games.
Is that they could sweep either Washington or Dallas, and it creates a 13-win ceiling. However,
yeah.
With this schedule, the way the traveling is and the way it's laid out,
pretty tough.
I think it's more inclined this year to be 12 wins with an 11-game floor, an 11-win floor. And here's why I say that. Because I have a funny feeling that one of these games like the Chargers or either, what if they drop both of the Bucks and the Vikings? Like, there's going to be one of these games that I think they're going to win.
They're going to beat the Bears.
Yeah, not the Bears. But right
they're
now,
gonna beat the Raiders.
The iffy ones to me are like the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Bucks all on the road, where it's like, they could drop
weird games.
If they
weird
drop
games.
2 of those 3 games, then this becomes an 11-win season.
Yeah,
but
which is wild card probably. Which honestly, I don't mind that. I don't mind them going in like a little underrated as well because it's about January.
Yeah, it really is for this team. But I am there in my heart at 12 wins. I would very much like to say 13. Like, yeah, they'll sweep Dallas or they'll sweep Washington, but I just don't feel that. So, like,
no, they're going to split with Washington. Jaden Daniels is legitimate.
Yeah.
So he's possibly the second best quarterback in the conference outside of Love.
Now, what I'm not thinking about here for that Dallas game in Dallas is the remote possibility that they're playing with a backup quarterback in that game, because that tends to be how the Dallas season unfolds.
You're right.
When they play the Eagles.
You're right. That very well could happen.
If that were to happen, well, then it unlocks a 13-win, maybe, unless, like I just said,
I think regardless
they
how it
drop
shakes
2
out,
of 3 games that I think are toss-ups.
I think this is a 12-5 football team.
I think they're 12-5.
I think that's probably good enough to win the division. I think
12.
Washington, I haven't looked at their schedule, but I think that they're an 11-6 football team.
And I think Dallas wins 10 games. So I think it's 12,
I got
11,
Dallas
10. Really?
Yeah, their defense is going to be not as good as people think.
Okay.
And their schedule, they've got some games that are like toss-up 50-50 games. Like for the guys in Dallas that do podcasts like us that are breaking down a Dallas schedule,
yeah,
they have way more 50-50 possible toss-ups than we do on our schedule.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's an 8-9 football team, and it's the same old for the Cowboys.
Okay. There it is. I leaned 9-8, but I'm like, if Dak's healthy, I got it.
Yeah,
win,
I mean, look, they did get Pickens, which is a great addition. He really is a solid receiver.
And Washington has Debo, so both of those two teams in our division leveled up.
And they knew they had to because you're improving your team to beat the Eagles because we are the champs. To beat us, you have to beat our secondary. To beat our secondary, you have to have 2A, 1A receivers.
Right. By the way, I think the Eagles are better than the Buffalo Bills.
I think so, too.
But it's in Buffalo, and that is a tremendously hard place to play.
It is, man. I mean, look, they beat Mahomes there last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brutal place to play.
It doesn't matter even losing that game. It's a non-conference game.
And the Eagles haven't played there. The Eagles had the benefit of beating the Bills in Philadelphia.
That was a great game. It was overtime.
It took overtime at home.
You know what? This could be another overtime game where Josh Allen makes a big play late. I mean, it's going to be a one-score game either way.
I believe
all these toss-up games we're talking about, they're all like one-score games either way.
I really want to beat Buffalo just because and Green Bay because they are so against
Lots
the
of
tush
hype.
push.
Lots of hype.
And they were they were very vocal. So I definitely
Zach, we're living in an amazing time.
I know.
In terms of being Birds fans.
Oh yeah.
Like we're going in knowing that this team has as good of a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions as any team this century has had.
Which is outrageous.
This is like they're approaching like the way people go into the season like, oh, the Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl. Right now, you could make that argument for the Birds.
I think they have a shot, right? But my heart says, oh yeah, they could repeat. But like my brain says, maybe they get upset this year.
I could see it too. I mean, it's sports.
And come back the next year in 26.
End up winning 2 of 3.
That's it.
End up going to 3 in the last 5 seasons or 6 seasons, which would be amazing.
I still believe this is the best roster in the NFL without, digging deep into all the rosters. I just think this is the most well put together
one. You're
one.
right too, man. Jalen is still getting better, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's still getting better.
And I don't think we'll see Saquon do what he did last year. In fact,
no, 1,700 yards.
My concern is that this year we see Saquon get hurt at some point and miss a stretch.
The numbers would lean that way.
And look, maybe that's why they got Dylan, and they're hoping Dylan will be healthy.
And you got Will Shipley, who I think is going to be the clear-cut number 2 back, because Dylan's like a change of pace Saquon.
He is. He is.
But they have a good situation in the running back room if Dylan is healthy. Wouldn't he have an Achilles injury?
Yes.
Or it was a neck injury.
No, it was a neck injury.
Yeah, with those neck injuries.
Twice.
That's tough, man. I mean, if he gets one stinger, he could be missing 6 weeks because of the caution they have to use with the spine. I mean, it's the spine. Yeah. That's what they took a flyer on.
You know what? If he catches a stinger, another neck injury, that could be a wrap for him. Yeah. He could be done.
Didn't they bring in an undrafted free agent?
2 of them.
Yeah,
Two of
one
them.
kid looks pretty good.
Yeah, the one they from Arkansas or whatever they thought was going to get drafted, but the kid from I think Florida, his tape is great. He looks great on tape.
Howie knows how to find quality. Look, Reed Blankenship was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah,
now Reed is one of the premier safeties in football.
And how about T.J. Edwards?
T.J. Edwards was another one.
And the Alex, what's his name with the long hair? That linebacker. He's found guys and built them from the ground up.
Yeah.
Also, the other one, there was a safety. Forget. We're big on that.
Absolutely.
On undrafted free agents over the years.
Yeah, and look, guys that are really playing to earn a spot, the Vince Papalis of the world, if you will.
Yeah. I think
modern-day Vince Papalis.
And they got this huge offensive tackle from Rutgers, I believe.
Didn't they take a kid from Michigan, too?
Yeah. Well, they drafted that kid.
Right. Oh, you talking about the undrafted
The undrafted
guys.
Class. They got this huge kid from Rutgers. He's like 6'7",
I saw the line on him.
Yeah, he's like ridiculous. So, look, I think the Eagles are coming in built to win, but, they might
NFL seasons are weird.
This is a weird schedule. They might get bit this year like they didn't last year. And I think Howie knows in his heart of hearts that he built this team for 26 or 27, that he knows that in this 3-year window, they're going to win one more. It may not be this year, but 26.
Right, but the sky isn't falling.
Yeah, the sky's not falling.
This team is really, when you look at the contract situation for a lot of the key players and the young guys, this team is kind of set up through 2029.
Yeah, the only question mark is Goddard. This is, you got to imagine, this is it for Goddard. This year is it.
Four or five of the upcoming seasons, they're pretty much set up with this core.
Yeah, and I believe that within these 4 or 5 years, there's 3 years where that window is wide open.
Oh, yeah.
And that there is a strong possibility of another Super Bowl win.
There is, man.
In the next 3 out of these 5 seasons.
If you get one more Lombardi, you then have 3, which puts you in a very rare air of NFL franchises that have 3 or more trophies. It's just not that many.
And they will, I believe they will do it.
I think so, too. I think Jalen's he's a Jordan-esque type of guy.
Exactly. I was just going to say, he's a Kobe, he's a Jordan.
And when the playoffs are happening and,
it's all
the
about,
lights are brighter, he's going to do it.
He don't care if, if he's got 161 yards passing.
No.
With him,
no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Protect the ball. He really did great last year, not turning it over. He had a few gaffes, but every quarterback does.
Yeah.
But he really did good protecting the football last year.
He did.
After a big step back the year prior.
Yep.
And I think that trajectory, the arrow is more pointing that direction than the other direction. And exciting to be a Birds fan.
It is, and
brutal schedule, but they're gonna play hard, and they're gonna be in every game. They're gonna be in every single game.
Exactly.
They're gonna be ahead in most of these.
And
games.
winning helps. I mean, Jalen, when he won and got to the Super Bowl and then lost the Super Bowl, he was driven, but he came back and fumbled the bag. He didn't have a good year in that second year. I mean, they had a stretch. He wasn't really playing great, and we were winning. And then the gauntlet caught up to us, and we collapsed.
There was stuff behind the scenes there.
Yes, there was.
With the dynamic that was unreported that was related to some really weird things happening that they fixed. They fixed
that.
Yeah.
And that's what happened this past season. There was a lot of normalcy, especially within the schedule. I mean, not to start the year, but at least they got to win in Brazil. But then they had a normal schedule and they did have a gauntlet, but they breezed right through it.
By the way, speaking of international games, they're doing a game in Madrid this year, and they're doing 2 in Berlin.
Yeah, Minnesota,
right,
has back-to-back. They have Dublin and London in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, it's because their logo is a Viking. It's very relatable to Europeans.
Well, that's true, but how do you do that to a team? Where you have them in Dublin one week and then the next week they play in London? It's how do you do that to a team?
Wasn't Connolly named the coach of the year? The Vikings coach.
Oh, he might have been, yeah.
I think he was the coach of the year. I remember his speech at the NFL Honors.
Because they overachieved with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, they did. That was fool's gold. They're fool's gold. We knew they were fool's gold when they were 9-1.
I thought they were a fraud, the whole way through.
We knew that. There's just something about the Vikings. They're just never going to win a Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, not as presently, no.
Unless J.J. McCarthy is the second coming of Fran Tarkenton, which Fran Tarkenton didn't even win a trophy. So.
Right. I don't know that I believe that thoroughly into J.J. McCarthy. I know our buddy Thor Nystrom, who's a Vikings guy.
Yeah, looks like a Viking.
He is all about.
Looks like a Viking, has a name like a Viking, and he roots for the Vikings.
And he covers them, and he is all about J.J. McCarthy, and he is a big draft prospect guy. He knows all of them.
When we had him on, we went pretty in-depth.
Yeah, and I read his prospect list before the draft. I read his unsigned draftee grades after the draft. This guy is knowledgeable. He knows everybody, even the guys you have no clue who they are. He knows who they are. Yeah. And he is a huge J.J. McCarthy guy. So I'm going to say that, I agree. I totally agree, but I hate to say it. I thought that about Bo Nix.
Well, you know what, though? I will say this about the Vikings. Their receiving core, 1 through 3, is very, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Because that Addison kid is a one on.
Yes, he is.
And Jefferson is all world.
That's.
And
they
got this
have
kid,
their
Naylor, the third kid, Naylor.
Yeah,
really good.
They have their AJ and Devontae, and they have a third guy.
They do, and their line is always good enough. Their line isn't bad historically. That's a pretty good O line. So he has a nice potential around him for success, but. The Vikings, I haven't looked at their schedule. I'll go on a limb and say it's a 10-7 club.
Yeah. I mean, look, J.J. McCarthy, I thought Bo Nix was and then Bo Nix was almost offensive rookie of the year.
Back to the schedule real quick. We both basically saying that the Bronco game is a win, but
That's a tough game.
It is.
I don't want to
in Philly, right? It's in Philly.
It is. That's why I have it circled as a win.
But that Bo Nix is a slinger, man.
Yes, he is.
He's pretty good.
And it don't matter who he's throwing to.
No.
He's a good quarterback, and they're a good team. They were a playoff team.
They were just overmatched in the playoffs, you know.
Yeah.
But first year.
But the bottom line, they're a playoff team. And when I look at this, you're starting us off and just wow. The first 4 out of the first 5 games is playoff teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not playing.
Yeah, the schedule is like you said. They pulled a fast one on the Birds, but it's okay. Bring it on. I think we go back to the Super Bowl anyway. Do we win it again? I don't know, but I think we go back, or at least back to the NFC title game.
5 of the first 8 games before the bye. 5 out of the first 8 games are playoff teams.
Yeah.
And then we come out and we have to play 2 right out the gate. They
could be 5-3 after the first 8. I just lean 6-2 because of the fourth quarter Jalen Hurts factor.
I totally lean 6-2, but you're right. I mean,
5-3 wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. A slow start. And the sky's falling in Philadelphia.
It won't be falling for the smart fans.
No, I know.
Because look at last year, they were 2-2. They go into the bye, and then they
go 1-3.
They were the best team of football after that.
Let's say they go 1-3, and then all of a sudden,
they won't go 1-3.
They have a tough game at home against Denver, but they win.
They might be 2-2,
and then they beat the Giants, and then they even it up, and then they beat the Vikings in Minnesota, and then they beat the Giants, and next thing you know, it's like or they're 5-3 going into the bye, like you said. Right. But the only way I see them going 5-3 in the beginning is in that kind of thing where they start out 1-3,
as if a wild card game happens.
And the sky is falling in Philadelphia because they're 1-3, and then all of a sudden by the bye week they're 5-3.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's only going to take 0-1 for the sky to be falling because
you're right about that.
Be a loss to the Cowboys at home.
If the Cowboys beat them at home week 1, the sky will be falling immediately. There's no doubt about it.
Not really for me in my heart of hearts because it's a division game and they're unpredictable games.
I will be based on what we see. I'm sure I'll be very disappointed in a lot of stuff. Just
right.
And look, the Phillies are doing great right now.
Well, the big picture is good for the Phillies.
But the big picture is good for the Phils, but in the micro, I am disgusted with some of what I see. And that's what it's going to be week 1 if they lose to the Cowboys.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear
week 1, if they lose to the Cowboys, there's going to be things I'm disgusted at right off the bat. Well,
that's why they would have lost.
Right.
Those items.
So that's...
I hear you.
So... That's my problem.
Don't go packing it in the fourth
I'm not going to pack it in because I agree with you in my heart of hearts. I don't see the sky falling. I'm going to say this: 1-3. I think the sky will be falling in Philadelphia. Me and my dad will be having these conversations about how this isn't their year. That's what's going to happen.
Remember Andy Reid had a 1-3 team. They ripped off like 9 straight.
That's what I'm saying. Is don't discount the possibility of evening it up and then going 5-3 at the bye, and then coming out the chute and 6, 7, maybe you drop one, and then you Bears, Chargers, Raiders. It's
they do have some winnable games in the second half.
They're gonna rip out 5. Like if they start off 1-3, I think it's a strong possibility.
They could win 7 the next day after that.
Yeah, I believe they end up 7-3.
I think 2-2 is a possibility, but even then they're still in good shape.
I think 2-2 is very realistic, and even then, to be honest, 2-2 with the champs. This guy's going to be falling.
I know. And everybody in national media is like, are the Eagles the same team?
You're absolutely right.
I don't know, Jeb.
You're right. Yeah. And the Nick Wrights and all these guys.
Oh, the Acho and all.
Oh, yeah. And then Acho actually is a big Eagles guy. So, but I hear you.
I can't stand him. He was here for an eye blink.
Yeah, I know he was. But him and McCoy, they're always pro-Eagles.
Well, McCoy, LaShawn is going to be a homer. He's
an Eagle
building homes out in Harrisburg for crying out loud.
Acho just said recently he thought this was the best roster. He thought we had the best draft. So he spoke out recently, and I can't disagree. I don't know if we had the best draft, but we had a top 4 or 5 draft.
We had a really good draft.
We did. I mean, it's a B+ draft.
Because you got guys that grade out as starters with your first 2 picks.
That's right. And look,
it's hard to do. Two drafts in a row.
I know a lot of people think it'll be Sidney Brown, but I
think they give him a chance.
I think that Drew Makuba is going to beat out Sidney Brown. That's what I think. It just like everyone's talking about Ringo like they didn't sign Adoree Jackson. Like Adoree Jackson signed to be the starter, guys. I tell you that.
You know how like the fan
Ringo is going to have to look so unbelievable in camp to win that job.
For Makuba, you know how the fans do they did like the Wolf Pack back in the day, and like they have like the nicknames for the fan clubs.
Yeah.
Koopas, and it's like the little the Mario dinosaur dudes.
Oh, I like that.
With like Eagles helmets on.
I like that.
Koopas. The guys in the stands with like turtle shells on.
I could see that.
Pretty
I
good,
actually
yeah.
like that.
You
That's
like
a good
that one?
idea.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like that.
There was another good one from the Phils that they did. They did VetPhact.
They did the VetPhact.
There was another one that was like in recent years. That,
Well, the daycare. I mean,
yeah.
Which
Remember we had the Fandemic crew on?
Oh yeah, we did the Fandemic crew.
I think they're still doing their thing.
And I think they still exist. I follow them. I see pictures every now and then. Yeah, the Fandemic crew. I love that.
By the way,
great,
I'll be at the Phils game tonight with my wife.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
City Connect night against the Pirates. Suarez on the mound.
I thought about going to this game. I did. And then,
Zach Wheeler bobblehead night, bro.
I know, but it's possibly a rainy night.
I hear you. We bought tickets a while back because of the bobblehead. Check it out. Remember where we sat, the game we went to?
Yes.
Same area, but fourth row.
Oh, third base line for people listening.
Section 134, fourth row.
Yeah. That's a
spot.
You know what's
towards
funny?
The infield.
I was looking at that same area online
Yeah.
for the Pittsburgh game, and I thought to myself,
well, right now
it's
it's just going to be
supposed to be
cloudy, I
rainy.
think. So.
but it's supposed to be misty where they can play in mist, but it's like supposed to be like misty and like.
Well, if they have the Fairless Hills forecast tonight in Fairless Hills, you're talking about sunshine. Tomorrow in Philly, it says game time 78 and partly sunny.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
There it is.
Tech.
Great. Hopefully
I'm
that
okay with
sticks.
Tech.
Hopefully that sticks. The weather changes day to day. I looked a few days ago, and yeah, it looks like it's going to clear up. But and we're supposed to get a little mini heat wave. But Sunday was the game where I considered really going, but like ticket prices are outrageous. Everyone wants to go. It's going to be sunny and beautiful, and I'm like,
it is 70.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna fall back on the Pirates.
I'll be doing cement work out back. We're redoing our cement patio ourselves.
There you go.
Mixing cement. You should see me, Tech. I got the drill mixing the cement. I got the gloves on. I
would
the
never
mask
do this.
on.
I'm the call somebody to come do it.
We're saving between all the work we're doing on the exterior.
Oh
and
yeah,
the
you
rear of
save
the
money
home.
when you do it yourself.
We're saving thousands.
There you go.
It's going to cost hundreds,
right,
instead of thousands.
Well, that's
and getting dirty, getting the cement on my hands and my shins.
Hey, you got to make it happen. You got to make it happen.
Seal it in with the waterproof.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's
the downstairs area attached to it where I watched the Birds win the Super Bowl. So we have to take care of
the
area well.
Yeah, and you got to get that area ready for this Eagles
there will
season.
Be an outdoor grillable, closed-in
and
sunroom vibe.
Hopefully the Phillies playoffs also.
Well, they're on a 95 win pace, and I know we're not going to
before
talk
we
much
get to
about
the VetPhact.
Phils.
Let's just do a Phillies blurb. I'm done with Aaron Nola, and you still got years left. I can see this playing out right now the same way it played out for Cole Hamels. I thought when they moved Cole Hamels, when they traded him, I thought who's going to want him? Who's going to trade for Cole Hamels? He's cooked, and a team did. I think the same way about Nola. I'm like, I can't imagine a team would trade for him. A team would trade for him.
Well,
I think you need to trade Nola.
I'm not there yet. Here's the thing about Nola. Over the last 8 seasons, he's in rare air with elite pitchers in terms of strikeout rate.
I love him. Cole Hamels, same thing.
Pitched.
But at some point,
he's going to have a streak still this year where he wins 4 or 5 games in a row.
He might, but all I know
really
is
good.
Cole Hamels was the same. Tremendous, had an unbelievable career, but when he was done, it was it's over, dude.
He still went somewhere else
him.
and threw a no-hitter.
I know he did. But I'm ready for Nola to be gone and for Painter to replace him. I'm just ready.
I don't know,
that.
man. I'm not there quite yet. It's still May.
I'm ready for Walker to replace him. I hear you.
That's a bit extreme.
Walker's been good.
That's
Walker was good, and
he's been better. He's been more like the Walker that they thought they signed. But here's the truth of it. I mean, they got a .581 win percentage, which is 4th best in the National League.
I know.
They currently hold the second wild card. It's only May. They have the same record as the first place Yankees. They have a better record than the AL West leader. They have a couple less wins than the Dodgers. They're on the same pace as the Padres and the Giants, who are also good teams. They have a better record than the Cubs, who they beat, who is a division leader. I think they're gonna catch the Mets. I mean, they're 6-4 in their last 10. The Mets are 6-4 in their last 10. The Dodgers are 5-5 in their last 10. Like, it's all relative. Club's going to win 90 to 97 games this year and make the playoffs. If they're going to be a wild card or division winner, I don't know. I kind of want them to be a wild card, though. I'll be honest.
Me
with
too.
you.
I just hated this series loss to the Cardinals. I hated it.
Yeah, they came in real hot, the Cards, and sometimes you have series like that. It was the difference was a 1-run game. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at the difference. The difference in that series was an anomaly Strom home run.
Yeah,
was the difference in that series.
And also, I mean, the offense.
And their first series loss at home since last July.
They get guys on second and third, scoring position with one out and get nothing.
But they still have the third best team batting average in the National League and actually fourth or fifth in all of baseball. And they're actually very good this year with runners in scoring position.
Well, they're 269 or 270 or something like that with runners in scoring position.
The numbers are not bad. For
I know they're not. It's just like my eyes. What I'm seeing, I don't love. It's like shades of last year all over again.
And their strikeout rate is really down since the early part of the year. They've had 2 anomaly games. They struck out a lot. Otherwise, they're seeing more pitches than almost any other club.
That's true. I mean, Trey's having a better year. Romano's
coming around.
He's coming around. Bryce Harper needs to get it together.
He will. Bryce will hit a hot
super
streak.
Disappointed.
I think he's going to have a torrid June.
Bryce's side is right back to being horrendous. He needs to pull it together.
Nah, Bryson is hitting like 290.
Yeah, but he went like 0 for 21 in this Cardinals
the other
series
night, he
at
had
one
a
point.
really key hit.
Yeah,
in that
the other
game
night.
that they
but
won.
before that, he went through this stretch of hitless for games, and by the way,
big 3-run home run to come back last week.
Yes, that was
huge.
I give you that.
And they should have won that game, by the way.
But
they came back from 2 big deficits in the same week.
He goes through these over stretches I just can't take, and Bohm is the same way. Now Bohm will have a big hit here and there. Great,
but Bohm sits safely in like 8 of his last 9 games.
Yeah,
I mean these guys. It's May. They're coming around.
I hear you. There's things that disgust me when I watch the Phillies. Like, you can almost turn the game on in the 4th inning with the Phillies because the first 3 innings do nothing. It's just like I can't stand
sometimes. You got to watch all 9 with the Phillies because
I know.
They showed you that in that game. They were down 7-1. They probably should have won that game. If Alvarado was regular Alvarado, they win that game against the D-backs where they came back. I know you turned it off. I said to Reva where we always watch the games to the end when we watch them, and I was 7-1, but it was early. It was like the 4th inning. I was like, you get 2-3 runs. You're right back in the game.
Yeah, but
they fight though. They fight till 9 innings.
They fight. I just don't believe in the bullpen to keep them into it when they're down that much.
August will make or break the season. We talked about that before, and you got a lot of baseball left. It's not even June, so
I know.
I think it's too much prognosticating in May.
They're
right with the other. They're right where the other teams are. Besides the elite. The Tigers are the elite team in baseball right now. The Tigers.
I know. It's that proves the point of it's still very early.
Yes. Although they were a playoff team last year, and Jack Flaherty is a good pitcher.
True.
I'll actually get to the Tigers in the pick segment and the Phils in the pick segment.
There it is. All right.
Coming off a 3-0 week.
We are headed to the picks momentarily, but first, brought to you by the Fairless Hills Academy of Music. It's time for the VetPhact.
This is a VetPhact.
Well, Tek, kind of a forgotten era in Phillies baseball history. May 16th, 1987. It was like in between the good teams, in between the 83 NL Championship team and in between the 93 NL Championship team. Like the tail end of Schmidt's career in Phillies pinstripes. And on this day, May 16th, 1987, the San Diego Padres and Tony Gwynn would come to the Vet and promptly get shut out 9-0 as Phillies pitcher Don Carmen tosses a complete game 3-hit shutout, walking only 1, striking out 5. The Phillies absolutely victimized San Diego starter Jimmy Jones, who allowed the Phils to go up 8-0 by the end of the 4th inning.
Wow.
Juan Samuel with 2 hits. Schmitty with 2 hits and an RBI. Jeff Stone with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Glenn Wilson with 2 RBIs. Lance Parrish with an RBI. Steve Jeltz scores 2 runs. You had a double from Juan Samuel, a double from Schmitty. Von Hayes was on this team.
Von Hayes!
He was intentionally walked, Von Hayes. 2 out RBIs from Glenn Wilson, Parrish, Stone, Samuel, Schmitty. They were 5 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They scored 9 runs, and they still left 9 on base. Tech. This was a great day to be at the Vet. The Padres were absolutely horrendous, on par with this year's Rockies. The Padres finished this game with a record of 8-30, Tech.
Wow.
And Tony Gwynn was on that team, hitting .349, and they were 8-30. The Phils were only 14-20. This was a forgettable year for the Phils.
Yes.
But the game only took 2 hours.
I knew it was a
and
forgettable
21.
year by the names you mentioned. I remember it
exactly. It
vividly.
Was in between. It was a tweener Phils era.
Yes.
It only took 2 hours and 21 minutes to play because the Phils had the one big inning and the Padres got locked down by Don Carmen. Only 21,713 fans attended this night game at the Vet. May 16th.
A lot of those people had those Hebrew International tickets too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So there you have it, Tech. That's like what? That's almost 40 years ago.
Wow.
38 years ago today, the Phils beat the Padres 9-0.
All right, so let's attack this real quick before we hit the picks. The Flyers hired Rick Tocchet as the new head coach. Now, I wanted this hire initially, right? And then once it happened, I started to feel mixed, okay?
Yeah. I always have mixed feelings about the former player-coach hire.
Yeah, so... And it's the good old boys Flyers club where it's now you got the trio of ex-Flyers. You got Jonesy, Briere, and Tocchet, all ex-Flyers from 3 different generations.
I know,
actually.
It's crazy, right?
And I just feel...
It's an inside job, Dick.
I feel mixed about it now because I feel like the Flyers aren't set up to contend, and Rick Tocchet would have been a really good hire when they're ready to contend.
They need a goalie.
And they need a franchise goalie, and they need a big-time center to put in between Konechny and Michkov.
Yeah.
That's what you need. And right now, you
just don't see it.
Yeah, and Briere's on the hot seat if he doesn't get a franchise goalie and a big-time center. If they don't manage to pull that off this offseason, he's on the hot seat.
Does Ron Hextall have a son that plays goalie?
I don't know.
That would be the obvious
That would
choice.
be the obvious choice. But, look, with Tocchet, it's just...
Good player.
Yeah,
Good player.
Great player.
Doesn't
and
always translate to coaching, though.
Jonesy is a beloved figure in this city. Briere is really liked. And Tocchet is maybe not as beloved as like a Bernie Perron or even like a Jonesy, but like he's in that beloved world here. Because people grew up with him, and he was the best player on a whatever Flyers team.
Right.
So like he is in that beloved world, and I could see it just from all the people on my timeline who love this hire, and I just feel mixed about it. So we'll see.
We will see.
We will see about this.
Jury
Rick Tocchet
is out on the Fly guy.
Yeah, I mean, look,
maybe they make the playoffs. Maybe they're just 7 or 8 seed.
I wanted David Carl. He was he's the head coach of the University of Denver.
A young college guy.
Yeah, creative guy.
Fire in his eyes.
Yes, great at developing younger players. But that would have been a great creative move. But they threw so much money at him to sign a multi-million-dollar deal and stay there. A multi-year deal in Denver.
And you're comfortable.
Yeah, so,
you know everybody, and why uproot your family?
So I get it. They couldn't land David Carl, so now it's all about Rick Tocchet and what that does for the fan base. And okay, I'm all right with it. In terms of hockey, I'm mixed. The guy, 9 years at coaching, I believe, and he's only made the playoffs twice with a first round elimination and a second round elimination. Yeah,
wasn't
Rick
he the
Tocchet.
Carolina coach?
No, that's Rod Brindamore, who is my favorite.
I'm mixing former Flyers.
Brindamore, he could win a cup this year.
Well, they already won one with him, right?
I think
Carolina
maybe
Hurricanes.
as a player, right?
Oh, right.
I think it was with him as a player.
That's right.
But I love Rod Brindamore. He ain't coming here, so that you had to go Rick Tocchet. We'll see. And real quick, the Sixers. Let me preface this
Can you put the sound of like burning flames?
Yeah, right. Yes. Let's just real quick. I have to preface the Sixers convo on this show by saying now at this point, we have to suspend reality here. Okay,
that's what Daryl Morey does. He's delusional.
I know, but we have to suspend reality to what we know about this team and what we think about this team. So let's hypothetically say, let's just assume, rather, that Embiid and Paul George, that was a mulligan this past season, that they're going to come in next year, they're going to play 50 to 50-plus games together.
Does that include the preseason?
They're going to come in right off the shoot. I don't know.
That includes preseason and postseason.
Maybe.
50 games together.
No, regular season.
All right.
Let's just assume that they'll play 50 to 50-plus games together.
Okay, all right.
They will be healthy.
All right.
And, they refused to build around Maxey last year. And by the way, Maxey it was also a guy who was, criminally unavailable last year. So he's a guy who's always hurt too. I'm not gonna get him off of this.
And he's proven that his ceiling probably isn't elite player. It's probably like second tier
star player. Not superstar, not elite superstar,
right.
Star player.
Yeah.
Maxey's a star player, and McCain has a high ceiling. McCain could go to the next plateau.
And I like Grimes.
I like Grimes too.
Yeah,
I don't know that they'll re-sign Grimes.
They will.
Okay, so
Morey
let's say this.
Didn't he say something about Grimes?
I hope they re-sign him.
He was on the air with Mikey Miss last week.
So if you're going into this next season, right, your starting guards at this point have to be McCain and Maxey.
Right.
They have to be the starting guards. And if you bring Grimes into the equation, he's the rotational guard.
6-man.
There you go. So now you have your three guards that really get the bulk of the minutes. So with Paul George and Embiid, obviously they're your franchise players. Now, when it comes to the number 3 pick, I've seen a lot of people who love VJ Edgecombe and they love Trey Johnson. And here's my issue with those two guys.
Ace Bailey's the clear pick at 3.
Ace Bailey's the clear pick for a specific reason. It makes the most sense. For this reason, you got 3 guards. If you re-sign Quentin Grimes, which they may or may not be able to, Quentin Grimes might get a bag somewhere. If you're able to sign Quentin Grimes, even without Quentin Grimes, quite frankly, you have your 2 starting guards. I don't know that VJ Edgecombe is going to be starting anytime soon in this lineup, barring injury. So Ace Bailey has a clear shot, a clear path to be a starter and a foundational piece in a lineup that would include Maxey, McCain, Ace Bailey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid.
Let me ask you something, though.
Yeah.
Important question. If you're the Mavericks and the Sixers offer you Joel Embiid and 3rd pick for the 1st pick, you pull that trigger? And you rebuild around Cooper Flagg and Tyrese Maxey. You sign me a veteran center for now, then you draft one, or you go get one.
It's a no-brainer for the Sixers, but would the Mavericks do it?
I mean, that's a pretty fair value, I think.
Because the Mavericks have AD, don't they? So they would have Embiid and AD playing together.
Which you won't, because they're 2 injury guys that could balance each other out.
With,
I don't know monetarily if they'd be able to do that.
No. That's a tough one. I would do it.
I'd be excited.
I'm in.
I wanted to trade Embiid a year and a half ago.
But look, I think obviously Cooper Flagg is the get. Now, I don't know that he'll be ready to start the year. He's got that torn ACL.
That's big, man. That's big for a basketball player.
Yeah. So
cutting.
But here's the thing, right? Is the Sixers were slated to get a number 6 pick, which is still a great pick, but it's outside the top 5. So in my world, in the NBA, there's number 1, and then there's like a 2-story building drop off to 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are kind of grouped together. It's a mixed bag of 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Well, hence protected pick.
Right, and once you get out of that top 5, I feel like there's a mini skyscraper level to
Grand
6, 7,
Canyon.
8, 9, 10. Yes.
Grand Canyon.
Yes.
Drop.
Well, yeah. I mean, and look, I say that knowing that the Sixers' 2 guards of the future were gotten in the first round in the 20s.
Yeah.
In the 20s.
Well, so was Klay Thompson.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Draymond Green, second round.
There are, of course, outliers to this.
Yeah.
But my feeling is, now that the Sixers are picking 3, they have a tremendous opportunity to pick a potential superstar.
They do.
And it could be Ace Bailey. He's raw, but look, it's rare. He's a 6'9", 6'9.5", small forward that can shoot and rebound.
Right.
And you kind of need a guy like that. I like this guy. He's raw. He's got some bad habits. He went to friggin' Rutgers, so I mean, he's got to be developed at the NBA level.
Yeah, I mean that team didn't win anything.
No. But
and there was 2 good players in that team.
There were Dylan Harper, who could go number 2.
Right. Now, if Harper falls, I would take Harper over Ace Bailey.
I probably would too if he falls.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Right now, certain players could climb up. I think we're locked at Ace Bailey. I think that's what everybody has us at.
Isn't it crazy that they let Mikal Bridges go for Zaire Smith?
I'll never forgive them for it. I'll never forgive them for that.
Ridiculous.
It was the stupidest
Isn't
move
it
I've ever
also
seen in
crazy
the history of the NBA.
They took Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum.
You're talking 2 of the stupidest moves any NBA organization could ever make.
They kept this team from winning a ring because if Tatum was on this roster,
of course,
with Embiid and Simmons at
there's
that
no
point,
question.
They're winning a ring. They're
Fultz,
beating. They might win back-to-back rings when they lost to Toronto and Atlanta those 2 seasons.
Right.
They might have won back-to-back rings those years.
The stupidity of trading Zaire Smith, trading Mikal Bridges for Zaire Smith, who's not even in the league anymore, and
absolute travesty,
and not drafting Tatum over Fultz.
Crazy.
It's just stupidity. What a stupid organization the Sixers are.
I know.
They're just so fraudulent that I can't even.
Allen Iverson left and everything fell apart.
It did. They got Iverson calling out the Bills' schedule. You see that? That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I don't like it.
I didn't like it either.
Buffalo?
Yeah, they said, "Can we get a go Bills?" He said, "Go Josh Allen." He didn't want to commit to go Bills.
Yeah, well, it's because it's the AFC. He can get away with it.
Yeah, he can get away. Exactly.
The AFC.
All right, we might as well hit it. It's time for Prem's picks.
It's time for Prem's Picks.
These games are a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your children's unborn children on these games.
Prem's MLB picks. So we were off last week. How did we do?
Clean sweep. 3-0. As the O's beat the Royals in Baltimore.
Yep.
The Yankees beat the Rays in the Bronx.
Yep.
And the Dodgers beat the Braves in the A.
That's right. I saw that.
Which brings my mark to 9-3 after 4 rounds.
There you go. That's
I'm
money.
Heating up just like the Phils are about to heat up. I'm heating up. And I have episode 165's locks.
Locks.
We mentioned the Detroit Tigers, Tech, who presently have a 29-15 record and lead the AL Central, which is a good division with Cleveland.
It
in
is.
that division, the Royals are a quality baseball team.
Yep.
A lot of quality baseball teams in the American League. And one of them is also the Toronto Blue Jays, who are underachieving a little bit. They are 1 game under 500. They play host to Detroit Tigers at the Rogers Center. Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Tigers, who's really supposed to be their second ace after Screwball, who's the defending Cy Young Award winner. And they're going to go into Toronto and face off against starter Bowden Francis, who brings his 5.4 ERA to the game. And I think even though Flaherty has had an underwhelming start, I think this is a game where he really dominates the Toronto lineup.
Yeah.
Only one Toronto star has good numbers against him. It's Bo Bichette. He's 429 average with 7 at-bats, so that's like 3 out of 7.
Yeah.
But Vlad Guerrero is hitting 200 against him.
Wow.
Through 10 at-bats. George Springer, really good player.
Yeah.
0 for 14 against Flaherty.
Wow.
I think these things really matter, and I think that the Tigers do enough against the starter Francis for the Blue Jays to get the win. Probably going to be a close game, but I like the Tigers in Toronto, across the border, tonight to get the victory.
Lock.
Next, Tech, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to the Phils game, and I have to give you...
You're betting Phils.
I have to give you the in-state homer pick, although they're obviously favorites. I mean, the Pirates are 15-29, but I will tell you that the Pirates have been playing very tough baseball. They beat the Braves, they've beat the Dodgers over the last 2 series. They've played very good, very close games, even the games they lose. And I think this could even be a close game. But Ranger on the mound, I think what you got last week from Ranger is the Ranger that you're going to see. I think he's finally healthy, and I think he worked out some kinks. Nobody on this Pittsburgh lineup really has good numbers against him, ironically, except for our guy McCutchen.
Right.
who is 3 for 7 off of him. But, guys like Reynolds, who they rely on, have a 182 average against Ranger. Hayes, Austin Hayes has a 200 average. Austin Hayes on this Pirates team, by the way.
Yes,
the
I know.
Austin Hayes revenge game.
Yes.
That doesn't matter.
I thought he was on the Reds. He's on the Pirates?
Oh, I'm
Austin
sorry.
Hayes?
That's a different Hayes. Oh, it's Cabrian Hayes.
There you go. I was about to say it's Cabrian Hayes.
It's Cabrian Hayes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. There's a little gap
There you go. All right. Correction.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually Willie Mays Hayes. Unbelievable. I don't think it matters what Hayes it is because Castellanos has a 750 average against Pirate starter Haney. Just absolutely torches him. Sosa is 2 for 2 off of him. Schwarber is 2 for 3 off of him. Real Muto is 1 for 1 with a bomb off of him. Even Bryce has a 333 average against this guy. I think the Phils on City Connect night bounced back from a tough series loss against a very good National League team, the Cardinals. Not a great team, a very good team. I think they bounce back on City Connect night and get the win behind our guy, Ranger Suarez.
Lock.
And the last pick I got for you this week, Tech, it's another good one. It's the Battle of Maryland as the Nationals travel to Camden Yards, very short drive, to play the Baltimore Orioles, who are really underachieving this year. I mean, they're 15-27. This is a team, Tech, that had World Series aspirations. The Orioles.
Yeah.
They've been pretty bad, and unfortunately for them, National starter Frank Gore,
Frank Gore!
Mackenzie Gore.
Mackenzie Gore.
Al Gore!
Al Gore!
Left-hander Mackenzie Gore, who's really one of the premier lefties, becoming one of the premier lefty starters in the National League.
Yes, he is.
Very good pitcher. He will go up against an O's lineup that is, like we said, been underwhelming this year. A couple of these guys actually do have respectable numbers against score, but I don't think it matters. The Orioles are trotting out starter Cade Povich, who's 1-3 with a 5.55 ERA, and the Nats are like one of those pesky baseball teams.
They are.
The overall record probably won't be that great, but they're gonna float around 500, I think, for a large part of the season. I love that young kid, that shortstop they have, Abrams. I think he's a really good ball player.
Yep.
And then they got wily veterans like Nathaniel Lowe to hit home runs, which they did against the Phils.
Yes,
and this catcher they have, Ruiz, ironically, a Ruiz playing catcher, K-Bear Ruiz. Just what a good young player. 285 from the catcher position, 14 RBIs. He plays a really good defensive catching position as well. I think the Nationals go to Camden Yards and get the road win behind their ace. And unfortunately for the Orioles, they're just going to continue to sink further into the AL East.
That is a lock.
So to recap, Tech, we have the Tigers over the Blue Jays at the Rogers Center in Canada.
Lock.
We have the Phils over the Pirates in the Keystone Battle of Pennsylvania at the Bank.
Lock.
Another in-state rivalry game, we have the Nats over the O's in Baltimore in the Battle of Maryland.
Lock.
This has been the 5th edition of Prem's 2025 MLB Picks.
There it is, and we will see you next week.
Vet Alumni.